What is up, you guys? This is JP. First things first, I just got off of being very sick. Just healed up. I'm about 98% recovered. If I sound a little sick, sorry. If I occasionally cough, my apologies. I'm not going to dwell on that too much. I don't want to jinx myself. On to the topic of today's video. Today's topic is, do gym lifts and exercises in the gym help you become better at your sport? Now, I'm going to answer this question so that it can help you understand it in relation to any sport. It doesn't matter if it's football, baseball, basketball, any sport at all. But I'm specifically going to talk about MMA most of the time because it's the sport that I follow most. I just started boxing, I did wrestling in high school. It's just something that I kind of relate to more so again, but this concept can apply to anything. So again, you guys will get what I'm trying to say. So it doesn't matter what sport. If you follow a different sport, it's okay. I'll be able to answer that question for you. So I'm going to give you the cop-out answer first, and then I'm going to give you the real answer. The cop-out answer, I got to tackle that first because it's going to lead into the real answer, but I will give you guys a definitive answer. So the cop-out answer is it depends on what exercise you're doing in the gym. Okay, now bear with me. I'm not doing this to give you guys technique tips or anything. I'm not the best boxer, but it's just to kind of drive home a point. Okay, let's just take MMA and let's just say someone's doing striking. Now, everyone has their regular practice. So if you're an MMA fighter, you have your MMA practice where you do your actual striking, you do your actual grappling, you do things directly tied to MMA. Same thing with football, basketball. You guys all have your regular practice. You have football practice, basketball practice, baseball practice. But you all have things you do outside of the gym. Now just remember that. So let's just take someone who does MMA and they're doing striking, they're hitting the bag. Let's just look at a jab. Okay, a jab, and then you do a cross. Okay, those two punches, okay? Rewind that, look at that. You all have seen a jab and a cross before. Now, that's strikes like that is stuff that an MMA fighter will do at their actual MMA practice. They'll do all types of strikes: elbows, uppercuts, crosses, hooks, to the body, to the head, all types of stuff. Now, outside of MMA practice and outside of whatever sport practice you do, a lot of people go to the gym and they want to do extra work to benefit their practice and to benefit their actual sport. So they do like a secondary training. If you're an MMA fighter, you'll go to the gym and lift some weights. It's typically what people do. They'll lift some weights. They'll do other things in the gym. Football players will go lift weights. Baseball players will go lift weights. But does the exercises you're doing in the gym, does it benefit the sport? In this example, does exercises in the gym benefit, the jab, the hooks, the strikes, for example, in MMA? It depends. That's the cop-out answer. It depends on what exercise you're doing. Let's take the bench press, for example. A lot of people will do a bench press because it works your chest, your shoulders, and your triceps, thinking it's going to benefit, their jab because it works your chest, your shoulders, and your triceps, or your cross. And the answer is that a bench press will help a little bit. A bench press, you are going to be pushing weight. Hopefully you're pushing as fast as you can on the concentric. So you are generating a good amount of power when you're doing that. You are building some muscle mass, which is going to help you produce a little bit more force. And then it's gonna have other little carryovers to MMA, like you're gonna be a little bit stronger in your chest, shoulders, and triceps. But the main issue with that is about the principle of specificity. When you want to get good at something, you want to train as closely as that to that thing that you're trying to get good at. And when you look at, when you're striking, when you look at a jab and you look at a cross, that doesn't look that similar to a bench press, because it's not. A bench press, you're laying on your back, your feet are even, your hands are even, you're in a good position, you got an arch in your back, the bench is making your body very stable. Lots of differences, whereas striking, you're working in different planes of movement. The transverse plane is involved, all these different planes are involved. You're in a staggered stance, orthodox or southpaw. Punches are unilateral, whereas a barbell bench press, it's not unilateral. So many differences. So while a bench press may have some slight carryover, it's not going to have a lot of carryover because it's too different from what you do during your strikes. Now, for example, instead of doing a bench press, if you were to do something as I'm showing you here, like a unilateral medicine ball toss while standing up, you are still working your chest, your shoulders, and your triceps, but you're doing it in a way that's very closely, very closely mimics what you would do on for striking. Like I showed you in the medicine ball clip, it looks exactly like what a cross would be when you're throwing a medicine ball. Now I know in the clip I showed me just throwing it, but typically they'll have someone throwing it against the wall. I just didn't want to damage the walls in the gym, but you'll throw it against the wall really, really, really hard. So again, that's a lot closer and mimics a cross much better and strikes in general than a bench press does. So the specificity is a lot higher in that second example. So if I had to pick a bench press or exercises like the bench press or exercises like, the unilateral medicine ball toss, like the power ball toss, I would definitely pick the medicine ball toss because again, you're standing up in a staggered stance, it's unilateral, the rate of force development is maximal, whereas a bench press it's not because you're not throwing the bar off your chest. There's a lot of things that's similar in the second exercise. So again, the cop-out answer was it depends on the exercise, and the real answer was certain exercises like the bench press would not be a good exercise to improve your striking, not as good as the medicine ball toss would be. Now, you can take this and apply it to any sport. If you're doing an activity, if you're doing, this exercise, and then you're looking at your sport, and then you're like, this is not really similar to anything I'm doing over here, nothing at all. It's not even, it's just off the realm. Like if you're a strongman, for example, if you're let's just say you're doing strongman or something, that's not MMA, you're doing all these crazy events, and then you're over here doing something so counterproductive. You're doing, half marathons, you're trying to do half marathons. That is so counterproductive to strongman, it is ridiculous. I mean, if you follow this channel, you should already know that, crazy cardio is going to, completely tank your strength. But again, they're just opposites. That's just, they're opposites, it's way off, it's not going to help you. So you can apply that to any sport, baseball, football. If you're doing something, just look at it and say, is this even remotely mimic, come close? How is the specificity in this gym exercise to what I need to do in here? If you're like, this is not remotely, it has no purpose. Now, that can be kind of hard to gauge for you on your own. If you're not a trainer or if you're not a strength and conditioning coach, it might be hard for you to gauge that, activity. And this is where good strength and conditioning coaches come in. That's why they're different from regular personal trainers or people who bodybuilding coaches or powerlifting coaches. Strength and conditioning specialists, really good ones, especially ones tailored to one sport, are going to be able to come up with activities, in the gym workouts that aren't necessarily the sport itself. Like the strength and conditioning coach isn't going to have you sitting there hitting mitts and sparring all day. That's not their job, but they're going to be having you do exercises like the medicine ball toss that I've shown you at more advanced levels, because I'm not a strength and conditioning coach, and things similar to like that, that's going to help you benefit, and it's going to help you get stronger, more explosive, and carry over to the sport of MMA or the strength and conditioning coach for whatever sport you're doing. That's what makes them unique, is they can get you in tip-top condition for that specific sport. If you're just coming in and doing regular gym workouts, you're probably not benefiting yourself that much, and you could also be hurting yourself more in the long run just due to a lot of other factors. So again, it's all about the principle of specificity. Look at the exercise you're doing, and not all exercises are created equal for whatever sport you're trying to be doing. So most of the time, traditional random lifts that you're doing in the gym probably aren't the best for whatever sport you're trying to do. If the sport's your number one goal, if you're trying to get good at the sport, that's your number one goal, you should probably be working with the strength and conditioning coach tailored for that sport. If you're just doing regular squats and bench press, and you're doing these, trying to get good at these sports over here, I'm sure you're leaving gains somewhere on the table. You're leaving performance somewhere on the table. If you guys have any questions, comments, leave them down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.